I don't think, sorry to say maybe a little provocative, but I don't think money is the problem. If you see what the European Structural Investment Funds, 350 billion, Horizon 2020, 70 something billion, the Juncker plan is 315 billion. I might miss one or more billions, but anyway, I don't think the money is the problem. And I would like to come back to my initial suggestion. What are we going to do, who, by when, with these resources? And again, I think to assure that we're moving forward in the right direction, and I fully agree with you, we need to be smart on the specialization, and a smart way to try to align the different strategies, the strategy of Europe, the strategy of the region and the member states, to go all in the same direction. If we spread out all this amount of money, we don't get anywhere. But if we concentrate on some certain specific targets, I think this makes the difference.
Here. Actually, the next question is addressed to you, Bert. The joint undertaking on fuel cells and hydrogen is clearly a very successful exemplation of collaboration and partnership. From your experience of that undertaking, can you highlight what you think the strengths and the challenges are, and whether there are any lessons we can learn for the action plan?
Yes, I'm happy to do. First of all, I'm in charge indeed of one of the 8 joint undertakings. So we are working on fuel cells and hydrogen, but next to that we have a joint undertaking working on medicines, one working on new aviations, engines and wings for airplanes. We have working on nanoelectronics. We have air traffic control. We have fusion for energy. We have upcoming bio-based industries, shift to rail. So a joint undertaking is an instrument, and in very simple kind of terms, it's a European funding agency who is trying to coordinate, let's say, both the resources and the planning point. For our joint undertaking, allow me to say 2 words about the technology itself. A fuel cell is a silent, efficient, and quiet converter of a gas directly into electricity and heat. You have to use mostly hydrogen for that. Hydrogen is a gas you have to make, so yes, you have to put energy into that, so it's not something you can easily find, but you can remake, so you can have a perfect sustainable situation or a condition. It's a very complicated, it's an electrochemical conversion, which is much more difficult than burning a fossil fuel. So yes, already in advance, it's not going to be cheaper. On the contrary, it's going to be more expensive, but it's going to be sustainable, green, clean, silent, and so on. So there are societal benefits for that. Now, I come back to the point I made first. The business as usual system where we keep on burning fossil fuel is obviously, if we're going to calculate the business case, a pretty straightforward one and probably the cheaper one. So it's going to be quite difficult to convince that any new technology is going to find quickly a market introduction. And the reason for setting up a joint undertaking, one of the criteria for doing so is just a market failure. Because if you would allow the normal business as usual, try to move forward, they might not just get and the resources and the commitments and the technology ready to make this move. So first of all, the benefit of a joint undertaking is that we have created a European-wide, strong, credible and reliable platform on the technology. And I can talk on my situation on the fuel cells, but I'm sure that all the other 8 will say the same. They have built a joint cooperation. And again, in the name of the joint undertaking, the joint is the key word, and it's still kind of translating the European idea of joining the 28 member states. Now, for each of these joint undertaking, the scale, what we would like to do is so big that none of the conventional industries or even the public sector can do this by itself. So it is about creating momentum. It's creating about the critical mass to move clearly forward. In order to do so, the joint undertaking has been, as part of an official mandate by a council regulation, giving a ring-fenced budget. So there is no discussion anymore every year. It's very clear. For the whole length of the Horizon 2020, we have a predefined budget. So there is no discussion. We also have a clear defined roadmap or action plan. Yeah, for the next 7 years, we have what we know reasonably well what we are going to do over each of these years. It is industry-led, so it's an industry-led public-private partnership, because the industry is going to show the way to a commercial viable product. It's going to complete the cycle of innovation. Innovation being, and I know that many people not always understand the same of it, innovation being bring the research product into a commercial viable product. And Europe has many strengths, but it also has a weakness that we don't do this so well, and for sure not as good as some of the Asian or American competitors do. So it is about closing the innovation circle, bringing a product to the market. And what is also of crucial importance is the cooperation of the industry. Again, as what I said, we're trying to do something of such a magnitude that cooperation in the beginning is more important than competition. And it's clear that in our program, and for those who participate, I think they understand, is that we have competitors working together to try to define what is the way forward in the use of fuel cells in cars, in buses, in stationary systems, in storage. They're working together. They're going to try to define the roadmap, the plan forward. Yeah? It's a consensus. They will turn into competition finally, but at the moment say, well, working together, we have a bigger momentum, we make an advantage. These are clearly all the advantages for the joint undertaking as an instrument, as a funding body. Though there are a few things which I would personally see, and I think a few of us would like to see to be improved. First of all is the stronger cooperation, the outreach. Again, as what I said before, the set plan consists of 8 initiatives. You all know them very well. It only makes sense when these 8 initiatives work together, the strategy will work. Yeah? The wind and the solar, for instance, are getting stopped or blocked by the fact that there is just insufficient possibilities for energy storage. Yeah? Of course, once you have to improve the efficiency of using energy, you have to be more smart. So again, it is of crucial importance that the industrial initiatives, the joint undertakings in this aspect, clearly work together. The industries need to find each other. They haven't done this yet. Now, this is of course true for the industry. This is the same truth for the research community and for the individual member states. And if we would be able to show some slides, I could clearly show how the wind and the solar are divided over Europe. The solar, obviously, is in the south, and the wind is more to the north. Yeah? How can we combine these two? How can we find the win-win in the different regions of Europe? And I would like to come back to the smart specialization, and that's just one of the key elements of smart specialization workshop, for instance, where different regions are going to meet and they're going to share best practices. How can we integrate wind and solar? So what I want to call for is a strong cooperation and outreach between the industry, between the public sector, member states. Second point, which I think should be done better, I said this in my introduction, we need a clear vision. Where do we want to go? What do we want to achieve together? We need a vision. We need the strength, and then I call for political strength to go for that. Again, I don't want to come back to the example I referred to Denmark, but once we have this vision, we should turn all the resources into this direction. Yes, financial, but also policy. Again, what I'm calling for is an appropriate policy framework, policy climate, to allow the new technologies to emerge, to be able to compete at par with the incumbent technologies. Otherwise, financially, technologically, customer-wise, this is not easy to work. We need to do more than just the research activities. We really need to bring the product to the market. The joint undertaking works specifically at TRL levels, the higher region of TRL levels, to bring the product to the market. Especially for us, it's kind of complicated because we are working on a product which does not yet fully exist for a market which also does not really fully exist. Yeah? So how can we get this mechanism of deployment of commercial viable industrial situation turning? So again here, the joint undertaking is specifically helping the industry, together with the member states which are part of it, together with the scientific committee, to move this, let's say, circle of commercial inertia slowly towards a product which becomes clearly economically viable. So I think the joint undertaking is a very useful instrument, as a short summary, where the public sector, the private sector, and I combine private sector, both the industry and the research, they're working clearly together to realize a rather clear vision. What I'm calling for is that the vision of our initiative, and the wind, and the solar, and the bio, and the sustainable nuclear, smart cities, that all those visions get grouped together. I'm calling very clearly for a stronger integration, a stronger cooperation of the set plan initiatives. Thank you.
Thank you for that. I would love to get into the detail of that, but I'm afraid time means we're going to need to move on to the next question. Is your microphone live, Hans Günther? Or shall I ask the next question?
I think I found the switch.
Could I just say that maybe we'll skip over question 5 in the interest of time?
Okay. So we still have a few questions in store, but we'd like to speed up the rhythm a bit so that we can have them all answered.